Crochet, like many crafts, has variations in terminology depending on the region. The two most prominent variations are the terminology used in the United States and the United Kingdom. These differences can cause confusion when following patterns or communicating with other crocheters. So let's explore the disparities in terminology, starting with yarn, hook sizes, and stitches. First thing we're going to talk about is yarn terminology. Terminology for yarn weights differ in the US and UK, and understanding the variations in yarn technology is crucial for understanding and following patterns or for purchasing yarn from different regions. So let's compare the US yarn terminology with its equivalent in UK. So in the US, you have 0 or lace, 1 fingering or sock, 2 DK or light worsted, 3 worsted or Aran, and then 4 chunky, bulky, 5 super bulky. And then in the UK, you have 1 ply, 2 ply, 3 ply, 4 ply, DK, Aran, chunky, and super chunky. So let's match the US yarn weights with their corresponding UK equivalents. So US lace 0, lace weight yarns are often referred to as 1 ply in the UK, and the crochet hooks are typically between a 1.5 millimeter to a 2.25 millimeter hook. And we'll talk more about hook size terminology in a little bit, so stay tuned for that. Now, US superfine number 1, fingering or sock, is called 2 ply or 3 ply. In the US, the finest weight category after lace is fingering. It's typically used for delicate projects like lace work or lightweight garments. And in the UK, this weight's often referred to as 2 ply. And both terms indicate a very thin yarn suitable for intricate projects. Hooks are usually between 2.25 or 3.25 millimeter. Now the US number 2 fine or sport baby is also 3 ply, and the fine weight category is a step up from superfine. It's used for projects that usually require a little more substance and warmth. And in the UK, they are called 3 ply or 4 ply. Hooks you use with this kind of yarn is typically a 3.25 to a 3.75. Next up, you have the US number 3 or light, DK, double knitting, or lightly worsted. In the UK is DK, that's their term. And lightweight category is a versatile yarn weight suitable for really a wide range of projects. It's popular for garments, accessories, home decor items, and the term DK is used universally. It could also be called number 3 light, and it's usually thinner than a worsted weight. And hooks can be a 3.75 to a 4.5. Now the next one is US medium number 4, and that's worsted or Aran. And the weight category is often referred to as worsted weight. This kind of yarn is used for a variety of projects, including sweaters and blankets, maybe a hat. And in the UK, the weight is often referred to as Aran. Now the hooks you typically use is probably 4.5 to a 5.5. Now US bulky number 5, which is chunky or bulky. It's a thick, substantial yarn that creates quick and cozy projects. It's ideal for warm winter wear, blankets, and other types of home decor items. And both US and UK use the term chunky for this weight category. Your hooks are going to be a 5.5 to a 7.5 millimeter typically. Now the next one up is super bulky number 6, or super chunky, and that's one of the heaviest weight categories, and it's really exceptionally thick and often used to create thick blankets or scarves or other kind of cozy accessories. And the hooks typically used are between an 8 and a 12. Now I just want to note there's one called jumbo or number 7, and I think it's best to use hand crochet with that, and they do make bigger types of yarn. And that's the best way to crochet with that type of yarn is, again, a hand crocheting. Now while the terminology may vary between the US and the UK, it's key to understand that the corresponding yarn weights, what they are and their characteristics when you look at a pattern or when you're reading a pattern, because otherwise your results are really going to differ if you accidentally use the wrong type of yarn. By familiarizing yourself with both US and UK yarn terminology, you can more confidently explore these patterns and select the appropriate yarn for your project no matter where they originate from. So let's talk about hook sizes. Hook sizes also differ between the US and the UK, and they are designated using different label systems. And in the US, hooks are measured in letters, starting from the smallest size, B, and increasing alphabetically. On the other hand, the UK uses millimeter measurements to denote the hook size. So it could be a 2 millimeter, 5 millimeter, 10 millimeter, and so on. When you're working a project, make sure to refer to the appropriate conversion chart to match the correct hook size for the desired tension and gauge. And I have included a link to a comparison chart of the different types of hook sizes you'll find and their terminology comparison in the description box below. So stitch terminology is perhaps where the most significant differences occur between the US and the UK crochet terms. And while the stitches themselves are the same, they're often referred to by totally different names. When it comes to crochet stitch terminology, there's a notable difference between the US and the UK. Let's explore these variations in detail. In the US, the basic stitch worked into a stitch or chain is called a single crochet. However, in the UK, this stitch is referred to as a double crochet. This can lead to confusion when following patterns from the opposite regions, and it's essential to really understand where this pattern is coming from. Is it US or UK terms? Next is the double crochet. In the US, it's called double crochet, but in the UK, it's referred to as treble crochet. Next, you have the half double crochet. The half double crochet is a stitch that falls somewhere between the single crochet and the double crochet, and in the US, it's called a half double crochet, while in the UK, it's called a half treble crochet stitch. Finally, you have the triple crochet, and this stitch is less commonly used, but still worth mentioning, and in the US, it's called a triple crochet, while in the UK, it's referred to as a double treble crochet. One stitch that is consistent in terminology between the US and the UK is the slip stitch. It is used to join stitches or maybe create a decorative edge. I use the slip stitch the most when I'm fastening off a project. Understanding stitch terminology differences is crucial when following patterns or communicating with fellow crocheters. It's helpful to have a conversion chart or a guide on hand to ensure accurate stitch execution and to really avoid all that confusion. Now remember, while the names may differ, the stitches themselves remain the same. The variations in crochet terminology between the US and the UK have primarily arose due to historical and cultural differences, and this is something I'll explore more in a different video. Understanding the discrepancies in yarn weights, hook sizes, and stitch terminologies will allow all of you to navigate patterns written in either terminology and be able to communicate with other fellow crafters more fluently.
Thank you for watching, and if you learned something from this video, please subscribe or like so other folks can find it too.